challenge, the pain, the gain, and the potential of doing business in southeastern Nigeria, the Biafra land. ECOC, growing the economy of the southeast. Think home.
Still continuing from the United Treasure Journal that I published in December 2017, that I used to decode the speech of the then American Secretary of State, John Kerry, that he delivered in Sokoto on the 23rd of August 2016. And I'm quoting from the journal. From the southwestern flank, Edo and Delta is already theirs, as we recount the statement of the flag officer commanding the Central Naval Command, Rear Admiral Mohammed Gaba, reported on the Nation newspaper of Sunday, August 7, 2016. The Admiral Mohammed Gaba in Wari Delta State disclosed that day, and I'm quoting him directly, defense headquarters have raised the military alert level in the Niger Delta region, stressing that formations are on red alert. All of us are on red alert, and that is why you can see all the deployments all over. The Air Force, Navy, Police, and DSS, all of us are working together. There is no cause for alarm, because we have already taken all strategic places. End of quote. He told the Nation newspaper. Then tell me what remained of Biafrans that have not been taken. We have seen, a while ago, how I described how they will start from all these areas they are clearing in the northeast and all that, from Adamawa and Abuja and Kogi State and all that. Now you have seen their exploit from the southwestern flank. So by the time you see it, we already surrendered, and all of us are already finished. Now look at it. See from the journal, examples of how jihadis have been laundered in Biafra land, waiting for the jihad to start. Now the Port Harcourt example. Even before I go to the Port Harcourt example, look at this news report. It says Nigeria, 486 suspected terrorists arrested in Abia. That is on 17th of June 2014. And I'm quoting from the report. At a military base of 14th Brigade on Hapia Barracks, Abia State, Sunday arrested 486 suspected insurgents, including 8 gears. Their arrest was made same day. Bomb was uncovered and defused in a church in neighboring Imo State. The suspected insurgents were said to be going to Port Harcourt, the River State capital, in search of work. The suspects were arrested at about 2 a.m. when their vehicles were intercepted by soldiers between Arongwa Junction on the Enugu-Port Harcourt Expressway and Imo State, the Abia State and River State boundary. They were said to be moving in a convoy of, I want people to note, 35 Hummer boxes when they were intercepted. However, 2 of the boxes were said to have escaped arrest. According to Abia State Commissioner for Information, Mr. Eze Chikanayo, who briefed journalists yesterday, that yesterday was Monday, June 16, at the military base, Monday, June 16, 2014, at the military base in Asa, Okwa West, local government area of the state, where they were being detained. The suspects are aged between, I want you to know their age, between 16 years upwards. Chikam Nayo, who was accompanied during the briefing by the commander in charge of the battalion, Lieutenant Colonel Rashid Omolori, who also confirmed the arrest, said that the suspects allegedly came from Kano, Taraba, and Jigawa State. They were said to have claimed that they were going to Port Harcourt in search of work. Now look at it. How many? Just look at the quantum number. 486 suspects in what? 35 Hummer boxes. So 486 people on their own, met on their own, and decided to charter 35 Hummer boxes to take them to Port Harcourt to search for work. Wonder shall never see. Only in Nigeria you see this kind of a thing. Look at it. You see? Chikam Nayo, who was accompanied during the briefing by the commander in charge of the battalion, Lieutenant Colonel Rashid Omololu, who also confirmed the arrest, said that the suspects allegedly came from Kano, Taraba, and Jigawa State. They were said to have claimed that they were going to Port Harcourt in search of work. Now look at it. Reminiscence of the ones they caught in Lagos, with motorcycles and all that. How many were there? that were intercepted by their local vigilantes and all that. They claim they are going to look for work. Look at it. All of them met with machines that they used to, do their raids in the places that they are going. This one, they say they are going to look for work. Still continue with the report. So Lieutenant Colonel Amololu, who, however, declined further comments on the arrest, said that a report had been forwarded to Army Headquarters, Abuja. The commissioner, however, said that further investigation would assist in unraveling the true mission of the suspect, but insisted that the movement was suspicious. Further investigation for where? Nothing like investigation. Then let me show you as an example of how these people have been laundered internally. More than millions of them, not even these ones were hundreds, but now we are talking of millions, Let me show you an example of how they have been laundered. For instance, on how the Western jihadists have been laundered in River State, for instance. There are hundreds of Islamic State soldiers, that is, American trained soldiers for the upcoming jihad, laundered all over every nook and cranny of River State as money changers. I was there recently at the site of uncountable number of these laundered jihadist soldiers at Emeya Street, GRA Phase 2, very close to Celestin Omehia's house, the former governor of River State, and its environment. They are dressed exactly like Biafra, young terrorists, able-bodied, agile young boys that one does not need to be told what they are there for. The entire environment, from the traditional rulers' council building of oil-producing communities encompassing Celestin Omehia's house and environment. Surprisingly, that is the location of one of the biggest crowd-pulling churches in the whole of River State, or even in the South, and that church is what? Salvation Ministry. Unknown to them, they are already toying with their death, as I believe those fierce-looking young boys are the terrorist soldiers that will take care of those areas when the final order is given to them to commence the jihad. Nobody living in those environments will survive their onslaught. The whole of Presidential Hotel Aziz and the entire state are already held hostage by these Islamic militant soldiers, specifically trained for jihad. Most of them sought from other neighboring countries and highly trained for a long time, scattered all over the former eastern region. Abia State is not an exemption. In their metropolitan towns like Aba, for instance, the sheer number of these young, highly trained and Islamic militant soldiers one sees at their central mosque in Aba on Fridays is simply an overwhelming sight of large number of these groups coming to worship in the mosque that one who is an indigene or persons of the former eastern Nigeria must feel highly intimidated and fearful. This was in December of 2016, and it is worse as of today. Look at the precise nature of what I'm reading for you that was published in December 2016. The sentient quality of what we are saying, compare it with what is happening today. You see, they're everywhere, enough to overrun the whole of Aba at the drop of a hat. Much more numbers to overrun the whole place without need of external additional reinforcement in the name of the Nigerian soldiers, which they are not. The villages and all the forest land have virtually been taken over, consolidated by a large number of so-called soldiers on their mounted checkpoints, which are no makeshift but permanent structures, which clearly shows that these are armies of occupation. Inside Aba towns like Aba, for instance, more than 2,000 artisans specializing in shoemaking had already closed shop owing to high cost of production, absence of electricity, and low patronage. Yet, the number of supposed Hausa Fulani shoe shiners in Aba Township alone quite outnumbers even the people that own shoes in the town. Yet, this is a business craft center where more than 2/3 of the people don't bother, and rightly too, do not need the service of these shoe shiners, as the environment is so dirty. No drainage system, no road that somebody can decently walk upon, that it is almost impossible to see anybody in Aba put on a white shoe because of the dilapidated, broken down nature of the roads in the area. Yet thousands of young-looking, well-nourished, supposed outer Fulani shoe shiners dressing like indigenous natives everywhere in the town, all young and able. As big as Lagos is, Aba Township alone may house more outer Fulani shoe shiners than the whole of Lagos. And the questions are, what are they doing there? Who feeds and clothes them? You see? That's the question, and people don't know that these people, they are just laundered in those places. They get directly paid by the DSS, all of them, they collect salaries. You think it's the shoe shining that they are using to maintain themselves? They pay them heavily. Those boys you see, all those shoe shiners, they collect more than 50,000 naira every month for their upkeep. More than. So they are just there. That's what they are. They pay them highly sophisticated. Some of them collect more than what I just told you. That's what they do. All over shanties in Aba, you see outside Fulani of Islamic militant soldiers squatting in their large numbers, looking every inch like natives, which they are not, on closer scrutiny. Most of them now buy and keep the local catapult or stone sling, though looking very common, but very potent instrument of warfare that the young David used in killing the almighty Goliath, while the Southeasterners are busily engaged in their buying and selling, oblivious of the danger already knocking on their doors to kill them. Our people are sleeping, which they may not likely escape because of their uncaring and careless lifestyle. Not quite long ago, the people of Ezenta and Ezuku community in Bend, the local government area of Abia State, said that Fulani herdsmen have occupied their lands and built tents. Chairman of one of the communities, Mr. Harrison Eleke, expressed great worry and fears over the activities of the herdsmen who, according to him, and I'm quoting him, have occupied their lands like people that have been authorized to use the farmlands by government. End of quote. Going further, he stated, and I'm quoting him, "We are now like people living with the mindset that anything can happen at any time, and that is why we are calling upon both the state and federal government to come to our rescue over the occupation of our farmland by the herdsmen whom we woke up to see in their tents daily grazing their cattle with impunity." End of quote. Still explaining that there was no pre-notice to their coming, he concluded by saying that, and I'm quoting him, "The community woke up to see the herdsmen everywhere and have been managing the situation so that it does not degenerate into something else. These people came into the community since early June and have built their tents where they are now living and grazing their cows. We don't even know how many they are, but those who have cited them put their figures in hundreds." End of quote, he concluded. These are not herdsmen per se, neither the shoeshiners being what they are assumed to be, nor the military wearing Nigerian army uniforms what they are assumed to be. One thing characterizes them all: they are highly trained, imported jihadist soldiers, already laundered in their own theaters of would-be operation, studiously studying their operational areas and their praise, putting everything in place that will aid successful operation of their mission when the final order is given for the commencement of their jihad. This was already in 2016. By now, they have graduated in the local languages and fully integrated themselves, as indigenous of our people, of our own location. So, still going further, it will not be too obvious if they are to do heavy armament deployment of military hardware simultaneously in the Niger Delta Operation Crocodile Smile, repeated in the southeastern flank. But it is the same operation taking place in the southeastern flank in the plunder of the jihadist soldiers, as shoeshiners and herdsmen, and so on and so forth. They don't care. All over our place in the southeast, everywhere is checking point with the armies and all that, So on the day of operation, they will leave the bush and their shoe-shining apples with only 2 items on their shoulder, guns and ammunition, and the scale will not drop from the eyes of our unbelieving, stiff-necked, high sensible brethren, only it will then be too late as they and their families get slaughtered like animals, with hundreds of their daughters taken as war booty and slaves of their various captors. But in the name of Jesus, I cancel it. It will not be our portion in Jesus' name. That is their plan for you Igbo people and their South-South brethren, period. Still continuing. With John Kerry's decode, we repeated it, we've done it before, but let me just rush it because it's part of the magazine I'm reading. It said, "Glamorizing Islam to see his lives." That's my own subheading, and I'm quoting John Kerry. He said, "Equality and tolerance, justice and mercy, compassion and humility, these are values that transcend religious ethnicities and all kinds of moral codes." End of quote of John Kerry. Note the word codes is a signal for them to understand that his speech is a coded message. Continuing, he said, and quoting John Kerry, "They are certainly in keeping with the teachings of Islam that have enriched the world for centuries." End of quote. Then the bombshell follows. and I'm quoting him, and those who will tear our communities apart, putting one religion or one sect against another, they can only be defeated by citizens' unyielding commitment to unity and mutual understanding. End of quote. If one removed the swanky, swashbuckling, glittering glamorizing of the Islamic religion, which Secretary John Kerry actually indicated was a code to cover the real message, then one can actually begin to understand the daily messages underneath that is buried deep in the second standard of his speech when the first layers of course are removed. By the way, Islamic religion, as practiced in Nigeria, has it brought any positive impact on Nigeria and Nigerians? Or rather, to use Secretary Kerry's words, has it enriched Nigerians for centuries? The answer is no. Islam in Nigeria, does it accept equality? Is it tolerant? Does it offer justice, mercy, compassion, and humility to those who are not adherent of the religion? The answer is a thunderous no. If it does, Nigeria would have been the most prosperous and peaceful nation on earth. Heaven on earth, so to so today. But what do you get? Instead of being in heaven, it is mass grave in a slaughterhouse. Remember the work of the devil? Then you look at the seed of the devil and what legacy they are leaving for Nigeria. Mass graves. That is what we are having. Now, still continue with the magazine. The problem with America. That's my subheading. And I'm still reading from there. To those who see doubt, we will pause deeply and reflect on the mindset of some of the best brains adherents of Islamic religion in Nigeria, on how they see others in Nigeria who are not believers of their religion in relation to cherished values of humanity as practiced all over the civilized world, compared with what is obtainable in Nigeria. We had already identified Biafrans as the people or race referred as evil, sometimes in the secretary speech, and at other times referred as what? Violent extremism, and also are those who would tear our communities apart, putting one religion or sect against another. Evaluating the effect of the U.S. Secretary of State comment, those who would tear our communities apart, on internal policy formation of the Muhammadu Buhari administration, and comment by the President and other Islamic faithfuls in Nigeria. And it is very, very important we hear some of their, real gladiators, the mindset that they have, which will guide us in the present to see that this war that is coming is immutable. You understand me? They have already realized that there is no peaceful way. There's no peaceful way of, disintegrating a heterogeneous entity like Nigeria. There's no peaceful way. It has to be by war. The only people who don't know it is our own people who are sleeping the sleep of death. They know it. Now, commenting on this topical issue, it's desirable to flash back to the U.S. envoy store of Northern Nigeria in 2010 when Advert Jacob Liu came calling was to show the seed of what is happening today in this encirclement and determination to wipe out Biafra from the surface of the earth. I'm quoting, those who will tear our communities apart can only be defeated by citizens' unyielding commitment to unity and mutual understanding. End of quote from John Kerry's speech. Our communities. Now I'm decoding it. Our communities. That is the quote. Our communities. Meaning what? Joint heritage of Hausa Fulani to American interests, or the court Obama represent as the president of America and the Yoruba nation. That was why the meeting of the new beginning, based on mutual interest and mutual respect, in their shared vision, according to President Barack Obama, way back in 2009, that would not be fulfilled in a single year or even several years, even as I committed the United States to addressing this security and political concern. End of quote of what Obama said. President Barack Obama said at the two-day conference his administration organized in April 2009 to promote business ties with the Muslim world. Still quoting Obama. Addressing participants at the conference in 2009, President Obama said, and I'm quoting him, "We are also here because we know that over the years, despite all we have in common, the United States and Muslim communities around the world too often fell victims to mutual mistrust." End of quote. Still quoting him again, despite all we have in common, it's not in common, I'm decoding it, with the real ideas of the founding fathers of America that the Republican presidential candidate, Donald Trump, represent against and contrary to the interest that Barack Obama represents, using the American presidency as a cover. I told you that this thing was written in 2016. I will reflect, the present tense of that time, so you will not be bothered if it refers to President Trump as the presidential candidate. President Trump is the current president of America. He's still there. So accordingly, 2 American power centers exist today in America, and the presently stronger party has usurped the real power of the founding fathers of the American ideas that is based in Washington, D.C., presently occupied by the pupils of the stronger power center based at New York, occupied by the Supreme Antichrist. And that is what gets the Republican presidential candidate, Donald Trump, mad that most Americans need the world try to understand. Only very few people can only imagine, yet they are not near real comprehension of the epic undercurrent battle that Mr. Donald Trump has been fighting with forces of darkness that had already set America on fire. I told you this America you are looking, America will disintegrate, America will divide into 2. You understand me? America will divide into 2. They are going to soon there will be a financial crisis that will crash all the whole currency of the world. And when that comes, America will disintegrate. There will be war in America, due to the undercurrent of this, opposing clashes we have been dealing with. The Charles Darwin lines represented by the Democrats, and the other side represented by the Republicans. And that's what you're going to see in America. Those forces of darkness are in the full grip of husband and wife. Mr. and Mrs. Bill and Hillary Clinton share the evil partnership, have already set America on fire. And that is exactly the real shared vision things they have in common that is behind their evil plans to wipe out Biafra from the surface of the earth. I told you that jihad was only averted because against the expectation, President Trump, instead of Hillary Clinton, won that election. You have seen the deployment of herdsmen, like I just read, who would have, this how they learned that herdsmen everywhere in Biafra land then, but not a lot of that jihad. But the moment Trump won, they were checkmated in their evil plot against Biafrans, and that is the work of our Lord Jesus Christ. Look at, let's continue. Then what are the crimes of Biafrans? Why are the Western world, why did they sanction the massacre? I've already explained to you before. But let me still go back to what I read, what I wrote, in that anointed journal in 2016, December of 2016. I'm quoting from, what Chief Richard Akinjide said. He said, and I'm quoting him, "The greatest Nigerian we have ever produced in our history, politics and journalism, were the lives of Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, an Igbo man. He was the greatest Nigerian we have ever produced in politics. Second was Chief Obafemi Awolowo, who produced the Nigerian Tribune and also worked towards the progress of Western Nigeria. Samuel Ladoke Akintola, who also did a lot for the development of the country," end of quote. That is Chief Richard Akinjide's son, former Attorney General of the Federation. End of quote. Crimes of Biafrans. Oil and gas. Also on the physical realm. Biafrans. I'm quoting a news report. The most intelligent black race on earth. That is by U.S. report. I'm quoting the report. The first Biafran Republic of that is the U.S. report. See, the Biafrans are the most intelligent black race, on earth. The first Biafran Republic of 1967 to 1970 was only subdued but never defeated. That was my writing. Was the first African industrial power. That is all. Look at it. When the whole world were fighting us, we were able to manufacture all sorts of weapons, refine our own fuel and all that. Obunigwe, nuclear weapons and all that. Biafrans were doing it on their own. Rockets that were flying and all that, We were able to do it. Barely being a nation, we were able to do it. Those are some of the crimes that we committed, The first African industrial power. That is all. If not true, what are they teaching the Boko Haram insurgents, children, all members of Boko Haram, ISIS, they created? What are the Western nations teaching them? How to go further into darkness and never to grow to challenge the white man's claimed intellectual superiority over the black man's. That is it, the generation of the races. degeneration of the black man, degeneration of the black races. So when they see that Biafrans refuse to be degenerates, that we can aspire, even aspire more than them, and become even higher than them, then that is the envy. Because if Biafrans are allowed to stay, then what will be the position of the white man? Where will he be exporting all these fairly used to Kumbo things and all that, based on the intellectual ability of the Biafrans and all that? So it becomes a problem to them. So it's either a case of them or us. That is why the Biafrans, they sanction the massacre and key in to say, let Biafrans be removed from the surface of the earth. That's the crime of the Biafrans. Even though Biafrans went through a war that Nigeria fought with every possible assistance from the Western world, yet in spite of the traumas of the war and its aftermath, two Igbo-speaking football club sides, Rangers International of Enugu, remained the best and the most decorated in Nigerian league club, followed by Enyimba Football Club of Aba, and both teams remained the best Nigerian side in the CAF Championship League, having won it twice by each of the teams. Look at it, Biafrans that came out from the war still have the two best club sides in Nigeria after the war, in spite of all the peace, and durable, peace and time Nigerians had during the war when we were being subjugated. Yet the two clubs came up tops in Nigeria till today. Rangers have won the Nigerian League title for a recorded 8 times. This was as of the time I wrote this, that was in 2016. With the last winning coming after 32 years of emptiness, followed by Enyimba that has recorded a seven-time titles championship in the Nigerian League Series. That 32 years of title drought represent the over 32 years of Biafrans' bitter experience in Nigeria since after the war, and the eventual triumph in 2016 is a divine confirmation that Biafra restoration takes place exactly in 2016. We have already seen why it didn't take place, because actions and reactions are equal and opposite. When there's an action and there's no reaction, the action stays. So because of the jihad they planned to undertake at that time, immediately Trump won, they have to put it on hold. So when they put it on hold, there's no way, their disintegration agenda in Nigeria was checkmated, because if the jihad has already carried on, the explosion would have taken place and they would have been checkmated. So that was why it didn't come after that particular time. I'm still reading. It is very important. The fighters of the Southeast and other prominent resource persons from the zone endeavor to build 2 world-based stadiums, one in Enugu, the other one in Aba, to be donated for life to Rangers International of Enugu and the Enyimba Football Club, respectively, where they have found that Chief Jerry in Yazoo will be immortalized with certain amount of money paid to his family for life. This is very, very serious, and it's equally worthy to note it, because anything, if creativity is not compensated, people will not be able to struggle hard, to do things. We are going to build the best stadiums in the world in Biafra land. The best stadiums in the world, anything Biafrans are going to build are going to be the best. They are going to surpass all the stadiums that are built in Akwa Ibom and all that. The Akwa Ibom will be the least standard. The one Akpabio built will be the least standard we are going to accept. And this thing is equally good. We, implement it, and give it to these people, so that our young boys will actually, discover their talent and live fully to it. Even have people who will train them, even expose them to overseas, so that they become hired by rare foreign clubs that can pay them good money. They're a foundation, and when they come, they contribute back into the foundation. And other young boys will go there and start to exhibit their talent. Not only in football, but in every other sport in Nigeria. Any other sport in Biafra land, not Nigeria, forbidden to call Nigeria here, In Biafra land, is really, really bring out the innate abilities in our youth. Handball, whatever it is, boxing and all that, anything that they can actually do. We draw the best from them. I'm still reading. Perhaps the greatest of all the sins committed by the Biafrans that anger the so-called civilized world is because finally the Biafrans are beginning to rediscover whom they are in relation to the deity called God, which is antithetical to what the so-called Western civilized race stands for and believes in, because it will supplant their false claim of superiority over the black race. and eventually, in a matter of time, turned them to underdogs of what imagined right path civilization of the future, as the Western world comes to the very end of their march of civilization that climaxed in man marrying man, human beings, waging beasts of all shapes and manners, from dogs to pigs to mannequins, and so on and so forth, that degrade their race from human to a state lower than the beast. This post, I hope, solved the bewildering scenario encountered by the indigenous people of Biafra on why the United Nations and the rest of the world leaders abandoned them to be killed by Nigerian security forces. Now let us look at the guideline that dictates Buhari's local policies and implementation. It's very, very important. You know, it's very, very important, you know. The former U.S. ambassador to Nigeria, James Essinwell, in an interview he granted to Tay magazine, published in the magazine edition of July 25, 2016, the then U.S. ambassador to Nigeria was asked, "You have spent close to 3 years in Nigeria. What are your impressions of Nigeria, the people, and their culture?" It's very important to listen to his response. James Essinwell responded, "You are right. I have had the pleasure of being here as the U.S. ambassador for a number of years now. I am wrapping up and would leave in a couple of weeks, and by the end of July, I will retire from the U.S. Foreign Service after 35.5 years. I cannot think of a better way to evaluate my career than to have been entrusted by President Obama with what I think is the most important relationship in Africa. It's been a privilege, it's been an honor. I have enjoyed every minute of it. Every corner of this country where my wife and I have gone, we have been warmly received, and it just brought home to me how rich our bilateral relationship is. Everywhere I go, I stumble on some Nigerian American activity that has been going on for decades between university associations or whatever. The personal ties between our two countries are deep and very impressive. The one thing as I look back on my time, a time to live is always a time to look back and so on. The stunning time in this country was a year ago, May election. Ever since I first came to Africa in the 70s, I have heard people say, well, you really can't expect Africans to have the decent election. My reaction has always been, why not? I've always found that to be very condescending neo-colonial point of view, and in my opinion, the election here in 2015 put that question to bed forever. A massively successful election, which in my opinion set the benchmark for the continent. If Nigeria can do it, every other country should be able to do it. The determination of the Nigerian people to vote. I remember going to a police station, and there was an old woman there, and she said to me, "Mr. Ambassador, today is election day, and if I have to stand here all day in order to vote, I will stand here all day." I have never forgotten that kind of thing about the election here. So it's been a marvelous time, but the entire election period is something that I will never forget. In particular, I will never forget January of 2015 when Secretary of State John Kerry came to Lagos. It's very, very important. John Kerry came to Lagos. I will read this, but this is the people who are impeaching their president because of they said that he was the military aid that was supposed to go to Ukraine. He tied it to Ukraine investigating the former Vice President Joe Biden, who may likely contest against him in the forthcoming American election, which is abusing his power for election interference. These same people, the same democratic people who were impeaching their president because of this offense, now look at their crime, because I'm continuing with what this ambassador is saying. Now I'm quoting from the report. He said, "I will never forget January of 2015 when Secretary of State John Kerry came to Lagos. He sat right about where you are sitting now, and there was a press conference on the election. He made it clear that the U.S. as a friend was watching in terms of violence, transparency, and possible manipulations of results. And I think he put down a very strong message, reinforced by, I think it was about 10 days before the election itself. President Barack Obama put out a video speaking to the Nigerian people about the importance of the election and that kind of thing. So as I look back, and having had the privilege of being involved in something like that was fantastic, and something I will carry with me forever." End of quote. Then the big question is, how many videos has President Barack Obama put up since he railroaded Buhari to power, denouncing Buhari's malicious abuse of people's fundamental human rights and the complete subversions of the country's constitution? None. They were the people who conspired and removed Jonathan and brought in Buhari. direct interference in the local in the election of a foreign country. Americans, and yet they are the people pushing for the to impeach their president on an election that have not even taken place, attempting to interfere. Not that he interfered, but look at this one. Mr. James Essinwell, Mr. James S. Wisto was asked again. This is the question. The presidency has some challenges to sort out. The disturbances in the Niger Delta. No, okay. The presidency has some challenges to sort out. The disturbances in the Niger Delta, the disturbances in the southeast where you have Biafran agitators and all that. Do you think he's fighting these wars the right way? I have to repeat this question for the war to last. This is the question to the former American ambassador to Nigeria, while he was still serving in Nigeria. He said, Mr. James Essinwell was asked again, the presidency has some challenges to sort out. The disturbances in the Niger Delta, the disturbances in the southeast, where you have Biafran agitators and all that. Do you think he's fighting these wars the right way? Then look at his response. Mr. James Etwisto responded, well, I don't call either of them war. Yeah, there's a lot of talk going on in the southeast, Biafra, that kind of thing. I have to think that a lot of people calling for secession and independence in Biafra are too young to remember what happened during that war, Nigerian Biafra War of 1967 to 1970. And I can't think that anyone who was involved in that and remember it would want to see that kind of thing again. So I hope that over time they will realize, and I wonder how many people in the southeast are really involved in this. As they say, talk is cheap. But I think of a time people will realize, if they don't already, that it is better to be in than out. If they are happy with the attention that the region is getting from the federal government, then there are mechanisms for dealing with that, and National Assembly and other ways to approach that. Can you imagine, when people are hoping on America to come and save them? I really laugh. Look at it. Go to the National Assembly. You see what is happening there? Look at what he's saying. I'm still quoting him. In the Niger Delta, obviously, that is of great concern because, as you know better than I do, that is the economic heartland of the country. We follow it very closely. One, because we care about the future of Nigeria, and two, because, of course, some of our biggest oil companies are involved. So we pay a great deal of attention to supporting our companies, protecting American citizens. I would like to think that over time that Nigerians have good intention and can sweep these issues out. Allocation of resources, what belongs to whom, what the way forward is in the situation. I think these are things that are best settled around the table than with fiscals or wars. So I'm confident that over time they can work these things out. If I have learned anything in my career as a diplomat, it is that talking is always better than fighting. Then the follow-up question, there's another question they ask them. It's interestingly, this is all coming at a time Britain organized a referendum that led to it quitting the European Union. Some Nigerians now see that as a motivation and argue that is the way to go for a multi-ethnic country like Nigeria. What is your views on this? Now hear what the American man said, and he responded, I think when Nigerians can decide these things for themselves, but in my view, Nigerians are better off in Nigeria than as separate entities. Have you seen the people, the actual unseen enemies that we are fighting in Nigeria? The Biafrans are fighting. These are the forces that are holding Nigeria together. So when they are talking about Biafra, Nigerian disintegration, you cannot walk out from Nigeria. These are the powers that are holding Nigeria. They are the powers that are manipulating everything that is going on in Nigeria. I'm telling you, these are the powers, the unseen forces, the principalities and powers, rulers of darkness, spiritual wickedness in high places that we are fighting. Look at them. Look at it. I'll quote him again. And he responded, I think when Nigerians can decide these things for themselves, but in my view, Nigerians are better off in Nigeria than as separate entities. Britain is better off separating themselves from EU. You see, but Nigerians are better off, in Nigeria together than as separate entities. See, in terms of Brexit and what happened here, I will leave that for my British colleagues to talk to you about. You see, British colleagues will talk. Then Biafran own Britain will decide. You will decide for us because we are subhuman. But then in the case of Britain, Britain will decide for themselves. Their British friend will decide. Because we are subhuman, then the Americans will decide for us what we are going to do. But I remind Nigerians that one of the many things Nigeria and America have in common is that we both had to break away from Britain. I always tease my British colleagues with that. It's easy to say, we should leave. But I will encourage people to really seriously think about the implication. Maybe go talk to people who lived through it. Biafran War. Look at it. These are the people that Biafrans are facing. I'm showing you. So when you hear all this nonsense report that don't have any blueprint, don't have any plan of anything, whooping on Trump, whooping on all this, I will give Biafran practical solutions to escape. But the point is that you cannot escape until you see the places of the enemies that confronted you. If you don't see these enemies and know them, there's no way any solution you bring, people will laugh about it. That is why I'm taking time to really expose all the angles, the places of the enemies that you're facing, so that you will know that the resolution to your crisis as Biafrans and, the Southeasterners or the former Eastern region, Biafrans as a whole, particularly the Igbos, your internal cohesion is what will save you. The part that will save you will come from inside. It's not based on outside. You don't know. You don't know what is facing you. That's why I'm showing it to you. I will show you these things this man said. I will show you. That was exactly what Adamu Siloma said. And I will come to show you exactly what Adamu Siloma said. Tell it with this particular thing. So these are the people, the incubators of terrorism in Nigeria and the massacre of innocent people. Look at them. You understand me? Let me repeat it again for the word to say for one record. And he responded. Look at it. What is it? Interestingly, this is not coming at a time Britain organized a referendum that led to its quitting the European Union. Some Nigerians now see that as a motivation and argue that is the way to go for a multi-ethnic country like Nigeria. What is your views on this? That was the question they asked him. I'll repeat it. Look at what the ambassador said. And he responded, I think when Nigerians can decide these things for themselves, but in my view, Nigerians are better off in Nigeria than as separate entities. In terms of Brexit and what happened there, I will leave that for my British colleagues to talk to you about. But I always remind Nigerians that one of the many things Nigeria and the Americans have in common is that we both had to break away from Britain. I always tease my British colleagues with that. It is easy to say, we should leave. But I will encourage people to really seriously think about the implication. Maybe go talk to people who lived through it. Have you seen the subtle threat? Who lived through it? Who lived through what? Biafra War. End of quote. Biafrans can never accept any credible, solution to their problems unless they first understand the very deep-rooted tentacle of the evil forces that are lined up against them. And that is why I take greater steps to expose all these particular things so that they can be confronted face to face by the forces that are against them. So when you see all this IPOP and all of them jumping up and down, America, Trump and all that, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know. I told you, Biafra is a midnight journey. They don't have the side to go. If they say move and you move, you perish with them. That is why this expose, they are very, very critical before the final solution that will extricate us from Nigeria will come. And this time we are going home. What most Biafrans and most Nigerians don't know is that actually they hate that, the hate speech bill was actually originated by the Americans. You don't know? Because of the expose we are making in this platform. Because it is gingering up the black communities all over the world. It's opening up their eyes, that is really cutting off the chain of slavery, subjugation that have been, entrenched, subjugated the black man for centuries. We are breaking that chain of bondage and they're not happy about it. America was the one who originated that hate speech. We have been reading, all this is I'm saying is under Obama. Am I not correct? Now look at Trump. Let us see what happened in Trump. Under Trump government, I'll give you evidence. Anything I give you evidence because when I show you, when I tell you, you won't. You won't agree, but when I will have to show you practical evidences for you to support what I'm saying. Because everything I'm presenting, they are legal documents, you know. Look at what this thing, the decode of what I'm reading for you. When was it written? December 2016. And look at it as fresh as if it is today. I'm telling you what happened. Look at the U.S. ambassador then, how they engineered the crisis. You know, these people. Look at his comment when he comes to the Muslim. You see what the Muslim said, exactly what this man said. So you will not see that when you look at people, they say, you are not fighting for any henchmen. That's not what you are fighting. You are fighting the Americans. You are fighting the white people. So that they scared that you come out of your eyes. So that you know you're actually enemy. Not these gentlemen Fulani. They don't know anything. Actually, the Fulanis are the face of Satan on earth. Face of destruction. So if you recognize that faith and you checkmate them, then you will be free. But I'll tell you how you are going to checkmate them. We have seen under Obama's regime. Then let us look at under President Trump's regime. I'm going to read the news report for you to know that it was the CIA under Trump command that gave Nigeria the green light. Even gave them, you know, they recommended that hate speech bill to them. Let me read something that will surprise you. U.S. backs hate speech bill at Keyamo, Pandev, Difa. This is Vanguard, December 4, 2019. Worry. Let me read this new report. Pan-Niger Delta Forum, Pandev, and Minister of State for Labor and Employment, Festus Keyamo San, yesterday disagreed over the proposed hate speech bill. While Pandev called on the National Assembly to trash the bill in the interest of national peace, Keyamo threw his weight behind it. Meanwhile, the political officer of the Embassy of the United States of America, I want you to listen, Jerry Howard yesterday described the hate speech bill before the National Assembly as an impressive piece of legislation needed to address issues of discrimination, hostility, and violence in Nigeria. National President of the South Regional Group, Air Commodore Idonges said Nkanga retired, who made the call in a statement debunked reports that he called on President Muhammadu Buhari to probe the 13% derivation fund to the oil producing states. Nkanga said, and I'm quoting what he said, the bill which prescribes capital punishment, I want you to know, not even when they have diluted it, when the punishment was capital punishment, death. The bill which prescribes capital punishment for anyone found guilty of hate speech or spreading falsehood that leads to the death of another person is another attempt to gag citizens by taking their rights to freedom of expression as guaranteed in Section 39 of 1999 Constitution. While Pandev recognizes that fake news and related issues are global challenges, we strongly disagree with proponents of the bill that hanging of citizens who express views considered offensive is the answer to the national problem. Pandev considers the gravity the Senate is giving the so-called hate speech and social media bill as disturbing in the face of serious national challenges like the general infrastructural decay, particularly in the Niger Delta region, and dwindling political and social economy. End of what he said. Not to talk about Boko Haram. They are not talking about Boko Haram. Hate speech bill. Then media reports misleading. I'm still quoting from the report. Media report what misleading? Who said it? United States. Now, listen again. Speaking during a meeting with the Deputy Chief Whip of the Senate and sponsor of the hate speech bill, Senator Aliyu Abdullahi, at the National Assembly, Abuja, yesterday, the political officer of the Embassy of the United States of America, Jerry Howard, backed the bill. I want the word to listen. According to him, the visit was intended to engage the sponsor of the hate speech bill and to seek an understanding into the proposed legislation under consideration by the Senate. Who is saying this? The American. I'm still quoting him. Following explanation by Senator Sabi Abdullahi on the bill, Mr. Howard described the response of the media, Nigerian media, as misleading and hysterical of the contents of the bill and what it actually seeks to achieve. What is the meaning of misleading? Look at it. Merriam-Webster dictionary. The word he used, he said the press, we are misleading. The meaning of misleading. Merriam-Webster dictionary describes misleading as what? To lead in a wrong direction or into a mistaken action or belief, often by deliberate deceit. Example, his comments were a deliberate attempt to mislead the public. So what did he say? That the press, Nigerian press, were misleading the public. That is what the American ambassador said, that they are deliberately misleading the what? The Nigerian public. Now, I'm still continuing with what he said. Following the explanation by Senator Sabi Abdullahi on the bill, Mr. Howard described the response of the media as misleading and hysterical. Now, what is the meaning of hysterical? Hysterical is what? Cambridge Dictionary. Unable to control your feelings or behavior because you are extremely frightened and angry. That is the meaning of hysterical. You see, following explanation by Senator Sabi Abdullahi on the bill, Mr. Howard described the response of the media as misleading and what? Hysterical of the contents of the bill and what it actually seeks to achieve, which means the Nigerian press are misleading and then their fears about the bill is unfounded. And this is a bill that recommends what? Capital punishment for just citizens, citizens. And this is from what? American representative in Nigeria. I hope the world is listening. He therefore advised the sponsor of the bill to engage and educate non-governmental organizations and civil society organizations in the country on its proposed content so as to muster support for the bill. This is under Trump's administration, not Obama's administration. So you see that the American program is a continuum, no matter who is there. You have to follow their plot, and their plot is what? Exploitation of other weaker nations. Exploitation and subjugation. Destruction of other weaker nations. That is their foreign policy so that they can live. That is it. Howard said, and I'm quoting the Howard, I'm quoting him, we want Nigeria to succeed. And we think a prerequisite for Nigerian success is successful democracy. For democracy to succeed, the people must have a house, a place where their representative can argue and complain, come up with new ideas, and come up with solutions to guide the executive branch and lead the country forward. I'm very impressed with the research you have done. I'm very impressed with the research you have done on the bill. The media has had a few days with this, really. You have thought it through. I was depending on the media for my education, and it was very misleading. You have your research, and it is very impressive. That is America for you. That is for IPOP members and their shallow-witted, degenerated, unthinking idiots that are following them to the graveyards. Look at it, that's America. You're looking up to help you. What this man said, what this Howard said, is it different from what the former ambassador under Obama's administration? Is it not the same thing that they said? That is their policy, their foreign policy guardian. That is it. No, it's not moved. Now look at it. The sponsor speaks. Earlier speaking on why he decided to introduce the bill, the lawmaker said, that's the man who sponsored who brought the bill. It's a part of the reason why violence takes place is attributable to discriminatory practices. It is discrimination that creates the socio-political intolerance that you see leading to a group feeling shortchanged and marginalized. Discrimination is also another very serious matter. Why I sponsored the bill. This bill basically is about preventing discrimination and prohibiting people who incite violence. President Buhari is there, appointed all the host security officers from his own section of the country, from the northern part of the country. All of them Fulanis, people of unknown origin. And that is it. You look at all the whole resources of Nigeria, shifted down to the extent that even when the World Bank granted loan instead that they should use the money for the North, that they should forget everything about the South, especially the Southeast, former Eastern region. And this one is here talking bullshit because of that bill. So the Nigerians don't know the tentacle of that bill. After that, he further stated that the bill's introduction by the National Assembly has the backing of Section 45 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Immediately they pass that bill, they know that you are closed from the outside world. Then what do? Their massacre and their jihad will start in Igbo land. Straight! Their massacre of the people of the former Eastern region will start. That is why you see them with all these bills and all this and all that. People are looking, they start talking, I don't give solution. We are going to recall our members at the Federal House of Assembly, both senators and legislatures, and it is going to be a must. We are going to call them, they are going to come back. Buhari must address Nigerians and the security situations in Nigeria. Our people will recall them until Buhari addresses Nigerians. Buhari must change all his service ships as a condition. As a condition, they say when I talk, I don't give solutions. And that is that. I will give them tailor-made solutions that will extricate us from all these problems. That will extricate us from all these problems. When you can give it back, I want you to see the faces of your enemies. You remember that about women riot? It is the women that will lead and the children that we are going to use to start this reclaiming of our place. Because they are, as a matter of necessity, going to shut down everywhere in the Southeast in all their state houses of assembly and demand for the immediate implementation of the open grazing bill. That bill that will prevent Fulani cattle from grazing in our land. I'm going to build a bill here. And possibly if you contravene that law, we may even put it for capital punishment. Ordinary, what is it? Ordinary media, social media, they put it capital punishment. So this one would attract capital, and we are going to execute it when the time comes. Then any governor that refuses to implement that, the people will remove that governor. We are going to knock down everywhere. If that bill is not implemented in every state house of assembly, all of them will be removed. That is how we are going to remove the Southeastern governors. Now back to what I was reading before. Look at it. When is it? Go and check it. Look at it. Back to the journal. I hope you can now use your tongue to count your teeth as regards those goading Buhari and directing both his utterances and his local policies and the killings of the people of former Eastern region, agitating for the restoration of the Biafra Republic. President Barack Obama pointedly okayed Buhari's agenda for defeating Boko Haram, which was indirectly directed at Biafran agitators. The same thing with President Trump. Now, speaking as he greeted Buhari on his first visit to the White House after his election in March of 2015, the U.S. President, on Monday, July 20, 2015, I'm talking of Obama, I told you this thing will still replace Obama as the current president of America. Why he's not? So let me repeat the report. Speaking as he greeted Buhari on his first visit to the White House after his election in March of 2015, the U.S. President on Monday, July 20, 2015, offered strong support for Buhari, saying he had a clear agenda. That's what Obama said. Buhari did what? Buhari had a clear agenda. And Obama actually understood what that agenda is, which is what? Jihad that he plotted. So he's not making any mistake. Say Buhari have a clear agenda for defeating Boko Haram and pledging his total support, including armed supplies to what? To Buhari. Forget about Boko Haram issue. Armed support to what? Buhari. Which he refused to grant to Jonathan's administration. You saw what Jonathan suffered. Even when Jonathan tried to procure the same arms from the Israelis, Obama blocked him and asked the Israelis not to supply any arms to Jonathan. You see it? Mm-hmm. including arms supply to Buhari. President Obama told reporters in the Oval Office that Buhari had integrity and a very clear agenda in defeating Boko Haram extremists of all sorts inside his country. That is true, the killing of Biafra. As I said earlier, you can use your tongue to count your teeth to understand the group Barack Obama refers to Boko Haram extremists of all sorts inside this country. Unknown to President Barack Obama and members of his New World Order, the poison chalice they fed Nigerians in their rigged 2015 election in Nigeria they used in bringing Buhari to power in Nigeria has been directed against them and their country, pulling or boomerang in the forthcoming November 8th election in America that has already derailed and subverted as millions of Americans die as a result of the crisis that will engulf America as a consequence of the coming election and this aftermath. Those who escape the melee will be visited by the fully of rampaging Hurricane Matthew as America enters their worst winter ever. We still continue with Trump's administration. With Trump's administration, I have told you, China is taking over from America. What is holding China is only because of Trump is there. Once they push out Trump, America collapses. And eventually Trump will be pushed out. I mean, China is already taking over. So America itself is coming to the end of their own civilization, or what they call democracy. Gradually, this America you are looking at degenerating into war. There is going to be crisis in America very soon. America will divide. Just like Nigeria, two equal nations. They're going to divide. Now look at it. Still continuing. As I said earlier, you can use your tongue unknown to New in Nigeria had direct pulling boomerang and got those who okay. Now continuing. Had Buhari and his military chiefs been able to enter the headquarters of Boko Haram in Sambisa Forest today, in spite of all the military hardwares they have acquired in the guise of defeating Boko Haram, they are still waiting for the rainy season to end. Meanwhile, Buhari is paying trillions of naira in exchange for the same Chibokes they kidnapped in the first place to use the ransom money in acquiring weapons to slaughter Biafrans. So if Sambisa Forest is in the east, Sambisa's forest will still remain by now. That Sambisa Forest will still remain by now. So the federal government cannot designate the whole of Sambisa Forest as the ranching ground and the grazing field for Fulani settle, for Fulani headers. All of them even from West Africa to go there and stay. So the federal government cannot do it. Then they are busy acquiring all sorts of arms every day, telling you they are fighting Boko Haram. Nigeria, I mean, we live in a very foreign country, you know. So now let's hear some of their, demonstration for blood and how they seize Biafra. Let's weigh the comment of this American-backed studies, who taste for blood. Let's hear what they say because it's Americans that are backing them. Now I'm quoting one of them, Buhari himself. Look at what he said. We need a lot of prayer. We need to reflect very seriously on what happened between 1967 and 1970, where about 2 million Nigerians lost their lives. At that time, as young military officers, you hardly heard of anything about petroleum or whatever money you got from it. Look at what General Yakubu Gowon said. To keep Nigeria warm is a task that must be done. And every soldier, whether he had been in school or not, know what the general meant. But we are quarreling with our brothers. Who are your brothers? We are not brothers. We were not fighting an enemy. And somebody is saying that once again he wants Biafra. I think this is because he was not born when there was Biafra. We have to reflect on the historical antecedents to appreciate what is before us now and what we intend to leave for our children and our grandchildren. Have you seen the threat? The same thing the American representatives said. That is from Buhari. Have you seen the people that are actually pushing, who had the genocidal agenda for Nigeria? These are people of Charles Darwin origin. Genocidal maniacs testing for blood. You have seen their faces. I'm still going to be exposing them for you. You seen it? You seen Buhari's comment? You see the so-called President Buhari? See what he said? As his appetite for blood is rekindled to be assuaged by another bloodbath Only this time around, demons will fight demons. Principalities will guzzle the blood of other principalities. Reflect on the plan of the expose on the snare he has laid for a race he refers to as our brother. These are the people you are calling your brothers, and look at what you are planning for them. Who is your brother? Biafrans to her. No, we are not brothers. This evil plot Buhari and America have laid out to be executed is Buhari's confident assurance and pontification on go on with one Nigeria, say no shaking. Another bloody crook that must suffer for all his iniquities, and Nemesis catches up with him. And that is God. That is God. No worry. Now look at it. Let's hear the views of another terrorist. This is the Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Saad Abubakar. That man must be arrested. That man must be arrested for him to tell us what he discussed with John Kelly on that August in Sokoto 2016. Sultan of Sokoto must be arrested. That invincibility of the Fulani, we are going to say it. That jihadist, that terrorist, he must be arrested. He must face International Criminal Court, and I have always said it. Let the world help us galvanize an international movement that will remove all these criminals like Chibo, the president of the International Criminal Court, from office, so that people of conscience can take their position and start to prosecute all these criminals. Bring Buhari down from power. Prosecution for crimes against humanity. Sultan of Sokoto and their allies like John Kerry, Obama, and all of them. It has to be done. They have always this explanation that the International Criminal Court are only hunting blacks. Now we have Leviathan evidences against whites that they should show that they are neutral by arresting these frontline mass murderers that are killing people all over the world, murdering blacks with impunity. All of them that have been supplying the evidence. Now let's hear what the Sultan of Sokoto said. How about their political and spiritual leader, a co-conspirator and the super jihadist commander, the Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Saad Abubakar III? This is the head leader of all the Hausa Fulanis in Nigeria who never voiced out any condemnation of the acts of the Boko Haram cells all throughout Jonathan was on seat as president, but rather canvassed for the release of Boko Haram suspects that have committed inhuman activities to the custody of the traditional rulers. They released them to him. He was obliged only for his intention of releasing them again into the society after they have been handed over to him. All the whole terrorists, they hand them over to him. They carry them, release them to him as their spiritual leader. Then the moment they back out, he will now release them to the society again. And they will continue to keep people. When they don't hand it to him, they hand it over to the governors. Now, Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Saad Abubakar III, stayed on Monday, November 23, 2015, at the venue of the Second General Assembly of the Northern Traditional Rulers, where he expressed grave concern over the increasing agitation for Biafra by some Igbo groups. This is what he said, and it's very important to quote, to note, especially for those of Biafrans living in the north. They are going to be the first sacrificial lambs. Don't worry yourself, take there very well. Now I'm quoting him. He said, "We are very much concerned about the issue because we know we have millions upon millions of Igbos residing with us in our homes, in our towns, in our states, very peacefully, very industrious, helping our communities and the economy to grow. And so many of them, as we know, keep telling us that they have nowhere to live than where they are presently living. You are a liar from the pit of hell. No Igbo man will tell you that you have nowhere to live except your place. No. You are you Fulanis are the people who come to a place and claim that you have no other place to live. What are you looking for? Look at cattle settlement all over the country. Are the Yorubas looking for Fulani Yoruba settlement all over the country? Are the Hausas looking for settlement all over the countries? Are the Igbos looking for private settlement all over the countries? Many people are they looking for settlement all over the country? Is there any other tribe that is looking for incursion and permanent secretary in other people's territory in the country? Only you, the Fulanis. Only you. And you are strangers, people of unknown origin. You are not indigenous to the Nigerian state. Now look at it. The Igbo say they don't have who said they don't have any other place except where have nowhere to live than where they are presently living. You are a liar. Look at the subtle threat, and I'm still quoting him. Since we have this coordination, you don't have it. It is a plot. Since we have this coordination with millions and millions of them, what is happening now is a thing of concern to us, and we believe we should look at the issue and most likely set up a small committee of senior traditional rulers to go to Southeast and engage our brothers there, traditional rulers, so that we will know how we can come in to stop the agitation. The Sultan of Sokoto concluded, any Igbo man that die alone is a bastard. If he starts, let it not be like before. If he starts, even if they shoot you, make sure you go with somebody. In the north, it cannot be like before. It can never be like before. Kill you, you kill them. I will give you a master plan. Forget about the guns. If you know you are going to die, 100 bullets cannot kill you. 100 bullets cannot kill you. All of us are going to die in this war. This war is started, we are going to die. You make sure wherever you are, it's a battlefield and it's a burial ground. They started. Sultan of Sokoto, if you are close to him, kill him. All of them, they are terrorists. Nothing. Look at it. Look at it. You want to respect your people. They are hooligans. They are animals. They are beasts. Want to be friendly with a beast? Then you go in for it. You fear them. You don't lose your fear. That is the way all this nonsense will end. God said He has given you authority over all beasts and over all cattle. You subjugate them. They are cattle. They are cattle. What you see, the last kick of the dying horse. So all these ones is talking nonsense. When the war starts, all those armor cars, you will not use them. Don't worry yourself. It's going to be a street fight. You see what will happen. See, so Sultan of Sokoto concluded. Now look at it. I'm still continuing what I wrote. The higher decision-making organ in the north that comprises the very best of the northern elders. In a letter it wrote to President Muhammadu Buhari, endorsed by a prominent northern elder, Ambassador Yusuf Maitama Sule. Note it, dated March 16, 2016. March 16, 2016, and made available to the press, pointedly asked the president to isolate members of the indigenous people of Biafra by isolating. Asked the president to isolate members of the indigenous people of Biafra by isolating members of the group from the rest of the people of the Southeast Geopolitical Zone, and finish them. That you should isolate them. Isolate them and do what? Finish them. That is what is currently going on in the Southeast today. That's the scheme behind the ID card and all that. That's why you see the military operations in the Southeast. What is their mission? Kill all the whole young able-bodied people they find in the former Eastern region, the whole Biafran territory. That is what they are doing by the advice of what? The Northern Elders Forum. So some people are in a hurry to look for solutions. It's not don't worry, we will make haste, but you have to understand the real underground forces. If you don't see these mines, if you don't see these mines, you will treat them, and they are going to explode on you and you die. To the important. So the Sultan of Sokoto's reference of millions of Igbos residing in the north simply means that when pushing becomes shoving, those Igbos resident in the north are all to be what? Killed. All of you, they will kill you. They are dealing with animals. They will kill all of you. Kill you, possibly carry your heads, load into trains and trailers and bring them back to the east. For people to say, you see our people, they are sleeping the sleep of death. I'm going to do an edition, and that will be a testament. My own testament to the Igbos. I'm going to do it, and that will be next year, 2020. I do that testament mostly when somebody dies, but I'm going to do a living testament to them. It's very funny. All these things are for them to avert these situations, but the ones seeing our people, the people that are raising, very unfortunately, pretty most unfortunately, this tragedy may catch up with them because they don't care, They don't care. They look at you, they grimace. They call you a fool. They tell you all sorts of rubbish. Maybe, possibly, you are reading newspaper and you are talking rubbish and all that, But then, the long-suffering patience of the Lord keep on beckoning them to run for safety. Run for safety. While Noah's Ark is still on the making. While Noah's Ark is still on the making, very soon the rain will start. And the flood will overtake everybody. So, those Igbos residents in the north that are in millions now becomes an advantage as they scatter from the stubborn Gari Abos, dressed like the Hausas. And as they get killed in millions, the Hausa Fulanis should in turn kill them in millions. And there will be checkmate. If not, they are all finished and heading straight to hell when they allow themselves to be slaughtered like goats without retaliating. And this is even a very big opportunity for the Hausas. You have to fall on the Fulanis. Fall on them, all the emirs, dethrone all of them. It's your opportunity. You are their foot soldiers. This is your opportunity to reclaim your land forever and ever. Fulanis are people of unknown origin. They don't have anywhere. They are beasts. They are beasts. So you don't allow beasts to come and take your natural heritage that God has given you. Now, I'm quoting another person, Alhaji Maita Masule. This is what he said. He said that Biafra will not come. I tell you, the easiest way to die is just say Biafra will not come and you go off. You can never mention that Biafra will not come and you live to see Biafra. All of them that said it, Maita Masule is late because of what he said from his own mouth. Just mention that Biafra will not come. That's your dead one, and the day you say it, you are gone. Anybody. Alhaji Maita Masule. The same Maita Masule, along with Adamu Sirema, can be described as the very best of the best the Connaught can boast of in caliber of intellectual progress of late Stadiona of Sokoto in discourse. Ahmadu Bello of Sokoto in discourse, that's Ahmadu Bello. And we shall see their views on the issues. Men with cosmopolitan disposition that rightly would have been described as first 11 elder statement group in Nigeria, no matter the indices used for choosing the best out of the rest of Nigerians. Alhaji Maita Masule granted an interview that was published by the Sun newspaper on Sunday, March 6, 2016, on the Biafran issue. He said that, and I'm quoting him on what he said, after the Civil War, we came back together and we are still together. God has done it. What God has brought together, let no man put asunder. You are a liar. God that put Nigeria together, I cannot say it's not God that put Nigeria together because God is all-knowing. God, the same God that put Nigeria together, have decided to put Nigeria asunder. So your comment here does not matter. It's irrelevant. It's after the Civil War we came back together and we are still together. God has done it. What God has put together, let no man put asunder. He was reminded that the people of Biafra are still clamoring for a separate state. He responded, although they are still making effort, they will not succeed by the grace of God. I cancel it in the name of Jesus. You're already dead. We have already succeeded. Jesus conquered the world and gave us victory. That victory that he gave us, we claim it now in the name of Jesus. So cancel your utterances. Victory is ours. We are able to go up and take the country, to possess the land from the Biafran land. That the giants will be on their way to hinder. God will surely give us victory, victory, only beyond the righteous side, beyond the righteous side, beyond the righteous side of God. Hallelujah, beyond the righteous side, beyond the righteous side, beyond the right-hand side of Jesus. We are already on the right-hand side of Jesus. The giants, that is who are they? The Fulanis and the Yorubas. We must overcome you in the name of Jesus, to the glory of our Lord Jesus Christ. We are more than conquerors. We have already conquered you. The victory is assured. It's all ours. So what is it? He said, there are people, I'm quoting him, I'm not going to repeat what he said before. I'm still quoting him, Maita Masule. There are people who did not know what happened during the Civil War. The story of the Civil War, the Biafran War, is presented in different ways by different people. But the truth is said to be known. Those of us that know what it was and that saw it all. For example, no one in Lagos, no one of us in Lagos today know about the crisis of the Civil War or about the night of the coup and the day after. No one knows it more than I do. Now, no one knows it more than you do, okay? Okay, end of the quote. I'm still continuing. Yet, he did not tell. Did you tell us what you know? He never did. And you went to your grave with it. Why? Because the truth will hurt your race. Because the truth will support the evils. That is why you slept with it. If it had been something that you favor your race, the Fulanis, you will jump up and you say it. Now look at it. Yet he did not tell, but went on to tell a lot of lies about Zik, about NCNC and Action Group. It's well documented that all we see soon. He continued. Now, let's look at another one from the Southwest, Chief Richard Akinjide. Don't worry, I will do a great expose on him, how he stood Bakassi and the other, but not in this forum, you know. We'll still come back to it. This is what Chief Richard Akinjide said. Son was the former Attorney General of the Federation, supposed to be a respected elder statesman of the country, Nigeria, who claimed to be one of the founding fathers of Nigeria from the Southwest. Chief Richard Akinjide, in an interview he granted to the Vanguard newspaper in commemoration of the 56th independence celebration of Nigeria, published in the Vanguard edition of 1st October 2016, was asked the question, how do you feel as one of the agitators for independence when you hear militant groups like Niger Delta Avengers and independent people of Biafra agitated for a breakaway? Note that the journalists continue to call indigenous people of Biafra independent. Okay, because when you say independent, it's confrontational. That is what it means. Then look at the response of Chief Richard Akinjide, answered us. I'm quoting him. The Niger Delta has been a problem since the colonial days. In fact, it was the economic problem in the country that brought in the army, so to say. I don't think anybody should think of breakaway. I think that is a wrong result for somebody or group to say they will break away. We are one and we will remain one. God forbid you in the name of Jesus. We can never remain one in Jesus' name. Still continuing. It is total nonsense for anybody to talk about breakaway. It is total nonsense about you. That is people who are saying Yorubas, who are pinning their hope on Yorubas, you know. You will make a deal with Yorubas. No, by the time I expose the Yorubas, as a Biafran, I'm ready to make a deal with the Fulanis than with the Yorubas. I'm ready 100% to make a deal with the Fulanis, the arch-killers themselves, than the Yorubas. How what you see the Fulanis do are being orchestrated by the Yorubas, but you don't know. Everything you see Buhari is doing today is nothing new. He is only rerunning and getting for his own people what Obasanjo did. And very soon I will open up the files of the Yorubas and everybody will run away. Those are the Trojan horses that are delaying Biafra. 6 Trojan horses, the most 3 important ones that we expose before Biafra will come. Major of them, this is Ohaneze, this is IPOB, IPOB. Where is it? They are politicians, these they are governors, they are politicians and other businessmen, Biafra by day and Nigeria by night, and especially the Yoruba churches. These are Trojan horses that must be exposed before Biafra will come. If not, Biafra will not come. So we are going to do it. So that's what you say. You say it's total nonsense for anybody to talk about breakaway, and if anybody tries it, they will never succeed. We are going to start. We have already succeeded in the name of Jesus. This war, whether you like it or not, will be fought between the Fulanis and the Yorubas. Go and mark what I'm telling you. The Fulanis and the Yorubas. I'm going to plot this war. The Fulanis and the Yorubas are the people that will fight this war in Nigeria in the name of Jesus. That is what they are going to do. And they will form one country. Now, look, let's share the views of Adamu Siroma himself, the chief masquerade himself. Then enters Adamu Siroma, like my Tamasule, has been playing politics in Nigeria at high level, right from the First Republic, a former governor of Central Bank and minister in almost all the key ministries in Nigeria at one time or the other. In his interview published in the Saturday Sun of August 27, 2016, Adamu Siroma was asked the question, some people have called for what they call restructuring to negotiate rules of engagement of the Nigerian state, but each time the issue comes up, they not seem not to be comfortable with that concept. Do you know their understanding? Do you know their understanding of this concept? Is they not scared of restructuring? That was the question they asked him. Is they not scared of restructuring? He responded, Me, I don't care about restructuring. I don't fear restructuring. What I know as an educated man is that human beings, no matter where they are, as long as they are more than one person, there will be problem of how to live together. And Nigerians have been learning how to live together since the British brought them together as one unit. The problem varies from time to time. If you want to survive, you must know how to solve your problem. There is nothing fixed. There is nothing permanent. And the problem keeps changing. So Nigerians to me have done well. Some months ago, some people were saying, "Kai Buhari, leave us with our corruption," because they thought the alternative they have under corruption was better than under Buhari. But it is not true. Every age has got its problem, and so you have to solve problem. If you don't learn how to solve problem, you will die. He was asked again, it does appear that you are not in support of any form of separation between the entities that became Nigeria, but the Britain that fused the nation together just got tired of the European Union and pulled out. So if any part of Nigeria wants to pull out, why shouldn't they? Remember, this question is reminiscent of the one that was asked the former ambassador, what is his name, during Obama's administration. That was the same question, you know, and look at this man's response. Directly the same thing that ambassador said. Look at it. And Chiroma responded, any part of Nigeria that feels tired of Nigeria, that believes that Nigeria is not going to solve its problem, and the alternative is to break away, is only one option. If you try to break away, somebody else is going to try to prevent you, and the result may be bloody, or it may succeed. So you haven't got ready-made problems or ready-made solutions. Anybody who wants to break, let him break. Didn't it happen before? Wasn't there a civil war? What happened? The federal government, not British government, the federal government of Nigeria went to war with some parts of the country attempting to break away, and some part of that country attempting to stop the breakaway, and in the end, General Gowon said, no victor, no vanquish. In this time, there is going to be a victor. Victory is ours. Nobody achieved it. And he said, where is it today? It's late. It's no more living. Speak against Biafra and you die. Speak no matter your position. Stand and make a declaration that Biafra will not come. That's all. The day you make a counter against, you are off. You are off. That's it. Keep quoting him. Next time, the people who want to break away may succeed. It may be good for them, or it may be good for all of us. But so far, we cannot foretell the consequences of any part breaking away, and that is the problem. When you don't know the consequences of what is coming, you try to find solutions, sometimes in a violent way, and sometimes through negotiation. We are not going to negotiate with you. Not as long as I'm alive. We are going to fight it out, and we are going to succeed. Go and mark it. Negotiation is go your way, then it's okay. Negotiation is go, it's okay. Anything outside that, we are going to fight it out. You already stayed for war. And I was about us. What I understand from what you have said is that anybody who wants to break away can do so, but they should be prepared for the consequences. He answered, yes, we all have got to be prepared for the consequences. That is exactly the same thing the American ambassador said. So Biafrans can actually see the people that are actually holding us back. When you look at people like Danjuma and others, you think they are afraid of the Fulanis. They are not afraid of the Fulanis. Go and look at all of them. They are not afraid of the Fulanis. They are afraid of the Americans. Americans are blackmailing all of them. They have their dossiers because people like Danjuma, Batanja, and all of them, they were trained agents of the Fulani, CIA in those days. All of them, they were trained, all those cadre of those officers, they were the trained agents of CIA. They are working for CIA. There was a comment I was reading about Mohamed Mohammed when they are painting glamour pictures about Mohamed Mohammed and all that. What happened? These people painting glamorous this thing. They were the same people, Obasanjo, Danjuma, them, all of them, they were the same people who killed Mohamed Mohammed. Mohamed Mohammed died in a coup plotted by the CIA. They used Dinka as a fall guy. Dinka was only used as a fall guy. How did they plot their coup? Look at how they plotted the coup that killed Mohamed Mohammed. I will just tell you exactly how they plotted it. Why did the coup come up? Because Biafrans, Nigerians have been able to overwhelm Britain intellectually. Britain no longer have the capacity to be able to subdue Nigerians again. What did Britain do? They have to invite the Americans to come and take over and be on the driver's seat. So the British government now incorporated the Americans, so that they can be able to continue to subjugate the Biafrans. It was them that plotted the killing of Murtala Mohammed, because that one was a nationalist. How did they kill him? The coup was plotted in what I will call a compartmentality. Compartmentality. This one will not know what this one is doing. These people in this group will not know what these people are, compartmentality, different departments. This department will not know what this one is doing. This department will not know what this one is doing, and they were all trained for specific targets. So the Dinka issue, they were trained. They were the people that we first go, the offensive. They are the people that we kill Murtala. Then there will be the follow-up people that will come and all that, and then there will be a general takeover. What Dinka did not know was that it was only his own compartment that was programmed to move. Others were not programmed to move. So what happened? When he went and executed the assassination of Murtala Mohammed, what happened? The other ones did not move. That was how the queue collapsed, and they ran into the radio stations and all that. So when you start by who is this criminal, that is who genuinely they call Babangida and all that. You say Buhari's bravery. No! It wasn't bravery. When Dika saw Babangida, whom he knew was a part of the coup plot, because before the coup, he knew Babangida to be part. There were some people they will use as four guys that they let him know. Otherwise, he don't know about other departments, what they were doing there. So when he saw Babangida, he was anxious to know what happened, whether they have succeeded or whether the coup have failed. That was why he gave Babangida audience, that people claim that Babangida disarmed the Dinka. It didn't happen. They were part of the plot. Babangida was part of the plot. Danjuma and Obasanjo, all of them, they were part of the plot that executed Murtala Mohammed. Maybe they told Nwawo to lie, Colonel Nwawo to lie that they shot him thinking that he was Obasanjo, that because of he looks like Obasanjo. Because I don't know whether it's living. Before he died, the lie that they told him to say, the man refuted it. Said nothing like that ever took place. Look at the speed they use in executing all those people. That was why Danjuma himself did not even become the head of state. He allowed Obasanjo to become the head of state and all that, in order to hide their secret. So the CIA have all these things against them, like any of them that talks, they will open their file and that one will be executed. A lot of other atrocities that they have committed. So when you see people like Danjuma afraid to talk, it's not because of the Fulanis. It's not fearing Buhari. They are all afraid. All these Igbo allies, big shots that cannot talk in Nigeria. All of them that become, lily-livered goons, they cannot talk because of their fear for the CIA. CIA have their dossiers. They are being blackmailed. The same way Obasanjo is blackmailing people like Charles Soludo, Ezekiel Izoguden, Emmanuel Iwanyanwo, and so many of them, OBA sequestered and all that. Those Obasanjo's life slaves. He's blackmailing them. Anytime he asks them to say anything, you see them, they will come. Even Ababi or what. All the whole people that served under Obasanjo's regime, Obasanjo blackmail. Obasanjo is holding one thing or the other against them. You watch all of them. That is why none of them can challenge Obasanjo. The only one he did not succeed in bribing or in blackmailing was the late Dora Akunyele. Other ones, there is no person that worked under Obasanjo from Biafra land that Obasanjo don't have Kemachi Inwe and all that, all of them. Obasanjo have dirty dossiers about all these people. That is why you see all of them. None of them can open up and say nothing. That is why in Nigeria, Biafra today, these Biafra agitators, you have to forget about all those people. All those people that work with Obasanjo, just remove them. They are spies. They are spies. They are criminals, So look at it, back to there, And also I was asked, what I understand from what you have said is that anybody who wants to break away can do so, but they should be prepared for the consequences. He answered, yes, we all have got to be prepared for the consequences. Finally, as it relates to our discourse, as a Muslim I was asked, ordinarily, shouldn't people have right to self-determination? He answered, this is what he said. He answered, everyone has right to self-determination. It means I have a problem, and I want to solve the problem. I am the one to solve it. If I want to follow that path to solve the problem, who are you to tell me not to take that way? But if I decide to take that way, how can I predict how you are going to act? That is why I tell you that you are always trying to solve problems, and because you fear the consequences of what will happen. Has every country in the world got oil? Not every country has oil. Some have more problems than those who have. So what is it? End of quote. That is exactly how serious it is, as we hear the intellectual power was leading Buhari on, very much aware what they have in stock for the breakaway group in partnership with their foreign backers led by America. So these things are very, very important for us to understand that we are really working on a minefield. It's on a very dangerous one, okay? Because when they look at it, they think it's a shallow ground. It's not a shallow ground. If you like, you can take it. I'm reading newspapers to you. But look at the precise nature of the journal I published. When was it? When was it? 2016, December. Look at it. Looking more, even more loaded than today's paper in the course of things that are happening out of today. Look at it. That's why the Bible is believed today, the precise nature of the Bible, ability to foretell future events. Look at it. Doing the same part of the Bible. God has made the North both king and kingmaker. Thank you, Yakasi. That is the real face of Nigeria, an ugly society, vulgar state, a meretricious nation. Indeed, there comes a time when people get tired, as the legendary Martin Luther King Jr. pointed out so many years ago. Biafrans are tired of living with Stone Age apes in human form. We simply have to go home, period. No matter what it takes, we must damn the consequences. It is either we overcome the devil's evil forest and enter the King's Express Highway, or we perish in the process. And in the name of Jesus, we are going to overcome the devil's evil forest and enter into the glorious Express Highway of the Lord. And finally, we will hit the end of that expressway, which is our Biafran Republic, in the name and to the glory of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen and amen and amen. One Nigeria does not exist anymore. That's the subheading of the journal I'm reading to you. Obasanjo was the first to do that during his tenure, as revealed by his then Vice President, Atiku Abubakar, that Obasanjo procured over 2 billion worth of arms to fight the people of the Niger Delta, obviously through the Operation Focus Relief that was only halted by the criminally arranged International Court of Justice award of Bakati Peninsula to Cameroon on October 10, 2002, following the transfer of sovereignty from Nigeria to Cameroon as a result of the criminally arranged judgment of the ICJ. Very instructive to note. On November 22, 2007, the Nigerian Senate rejected the transfer since the Green Tree Agreement ceding the area to Cameroon was contrary to Section 12(1) of the 1999 Constitution. Regardless of that, Bakati Peninsula was transferred to Cameroon on 14th of August 2008. Then the question is, which constitution or Nigerian sovereignty is Buhari talking about that must keep Biafra in Nigeria? When he told President Paul Biya of Cameroon that as far as Bakassi is concerned, he should put his mind at rest. Bakassi Peninsula ICJ judgment is a judgment that sanctioned immediate dissolution of Nigerian sovereignty and that stand and challenge any person born of a woman in this planet Earth to prove otherwise. Finally, on the issue of Bakassi, The chicken, as the saying goes, are fast coming home to roost. Recently, a foremost rogue element and highly diabolical pivotal instrument that was used to ship Bagasi to Cameroon granted a very interesting interview that was published in the Punch newspaper of Saturday, October 29, 2016. In that interview, the devilish Prince Bola Ajibola made very interesting comments we will briefly comment upon as space prohibits expanding them fully here. Unfortunately, none of the allies, especially from the former eastern region, has been able to stand up and denounce Ajibola's lies in that interview. As I earlier indicated, their evil acts are being exposed in a 14-year ellipsis secular selection movement. Every 14 years, those forces of darkness, they will do one thing to market, just market. 14 years. You understand me? Evil acts are being exposed in a 14-year ellipsis secular selection movement. First, 9/11 attack on America. 14 years later, Chibo's guest abduction. And I must treat these two subjects. Chibo's guest abduction. Now, 14 years after the Bakati scam, a major Cameroonian mole and Western world mole used to effect the day is again trying to scam and win Nigeria and the world, which will not succeed. The awful dilemma of the ICJ judgment on Bakati, which was clearly unenforceable, was given by the World Court and implemented because of insiders' collaboration of the then President Olusegun Obasanjo and the legal team that Obasanjo handpicked to represent Nigeria at the World Court. Foremost among them were the duo of Prince Bola Ajibola and another evil prince from Yoruba land, Chief Richard Akinjide, who pointedly told Nigerians on several occasions that there is no oil in Bakassi. That is the lie they keep on telling Nigerians in order to take their eyes off it. Have you seen it? Don't worry, I will do a comprehensive expose on how they carried out this diabolical, this diabolical act. It is very important to understand that the Bakati Peninsula scam was the group agenda of the Yoruba allies. Very, very important. Those who are building alliance, IPOB that are building alliance with the so-called Yoruba people. When I say they don't know anything about Biafra, you think I'm joking. It is very important to understand that the Bakati Peninsula scam was the group agenda of the Yoruba allies, conceived and spearheaded by late Chief Obafemi Awolowo, actively pursued by his able lieutenants after his death. Finally, clamation in Obasanjo's era, who was able to pull up the deal that eventually has become the chief cornerstone of Nigerian disintegration. Go back and recheck sequences of events, and one will see that all those who played active role and supported the Bakati Peninsula scam were exclusively what? All Yorubas. The United Nations Charter that was unequivocal in the condemnation of colonialism as a blot on human civilization was a lie put there to deceive the black man, as the World Court, a supposedly specialized agency of the United Nations, has proved by elevating the acts of villain to a pedestal of sacrosanctity by the recognition of the 1913 Anglo-German Agreement. Yes, President Robert Mugabe saw through this lie a long time ago when he said that it was not only Zimbabwe that the Western government determinedly seek to recolonize, but also other African countries. Have you seen it? That is what he said.